All right. Greetings, family. This is session 6, and it's I know it's been quite an interesting journey the past 5 weeks. You know, hope that a lot of the info and knowledge at least resonated with you up to this point, because I am attempting to transcribe at least one of the not one of, but the most powerful skill set on planet Earth. There is nothing greater. And we did talk about how meditation is such has such this watered down definition. If you ask someone if they meditate, a lot of people say they do, but they really don't understand. It's actually goes much deeper. Like I said in the previous class before this one, when I sent the recording, it's about bringing and harnessing energy into the body. And literally, it is not fasting. So if you meditated most of the day and you didn't eat or drink, you were not on a fast. I'm going to say that again. Cultivating energy and fasting is two different things. A vast majority of people that even been studying the occult don't even quite understand that. So if I go on a day where I'm outside, I'm cultivating, I'm doing my thing, I am not fasting. I'm taking in nourishment on another level. And it's actually the healthiest diet out of all, because what you're doing is you're bringing in the energy, the solar energy, the energy from the cosmos and from the earth, and you don't have a middleman. There's no middleman in between, you see? And like the saying, not having no other gods before me, you start to cut out all middlemen, where you don't look at an apple, you don't look at a piece of meat and say, oh, well, that sustains me, when the apple is actually just a condensed version of chi energy. You see, these are just condensed versions of this light, but you're going right to the subtle forces. You're tapping right into it without any middleman, without anyone needing to sell you anything. So session 6, this is cultivating the inner light, preparing for the cosmic currents emanating from the dark star. All right. Earth is going through a transformation as well, just like all of the human beings on the planet. Okay. So remember, in the beginning of the class, session 1, I spoke about us getting closer to the central sun or the dark star. And it is not, family, this is not me just reading one book. This is all in ancient scrolls. In all ancient cultures, they talk about the dark star, okay? So like what I have here, I'm going to read it off. All ancient nations considered Alcuin, brightest star of the Pleiades, to be the grand central sun. To the Babylonians, it was Temanu, the foundation stone. The Arabs had two names for it, Kama, the immortal seal or type, and Al-Wasat, the central one. It was Amba, the mother of the Hindus, and its present name is Alciwan, was derived from a Greek word signifying peace. It is so far distant from us at present as to appear to be a star of only the third magnitude. There is a significant passage in the Bible, Job chapter 38, verse 4 through 31, about the constellation containing Alciwan, where the Lord asks Job, where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Canst thou bind the sweet influences of the Pleiades? The great sages of ancient India, whose knowledge of astronomy has not been surpassed by any modern nation, claim that by the phenomenon of precision, the equinoctial points of our sun would take 24,000 years to complete one circuit around the zodiac of the constellations. Modern science tells us that the present rate of precision is 50.1 yearly, or 1 degree, 0 inches in 72 years. At that rate, it would take not 24,000, but 25,920 years for the vernal equinox to make one whole circle around the zodiac of the constellations and return to any given starting point. However, there is no proof that the present rate of precision is constant, and the ancients claim that at certain stages of the cycle, the rate of precision is slightly more rapid than at other stages. This theory receives proof from the calculations of the great astronomer Hipparchus, who gave the rate of precision at the time of his observations, or a rate somewhat faster than at present. We have therefore no scientific reason to deny that the ancient Hindu astronomers were correct in giving 24,000 years as the time which would elapse between one coincidence of the vernal equinox with any fixed star and its next exact coincidence with the same star. So what they basically saying, just to kind of explain that in a nutshell, they're saying that it varies, like every ecliptic orbit around this central sun, this dark star, where source energy emanates from. Okay, you could see it here. Again, it's fixed, and all galaxies are just kind of doing an ecliptic orbit around this big ball of source energy, which is the grandest, greatest solar orb, a central sun in the whole galaxy. Okay, so it takes about 24,000 to 25,920. It kind of varies in between those years. Okay, so like what it says here, the precisional cycle of 24,000 years is profoundly related to the 4 ages or yugas into which the ancient rishis, wise men of India, divided each cyclic period. These ages, known to the Greeks and others as the golden, silver, bronze, and iron ages, are as follows. All right. So if you look into Hinduism, even in ancient cultures in Egypt, in Kemet, when they talked about, they called the central sun the Rakem. Okay, they call our sun in the solar system Ra, R-A, and they called the grand sun, the central sun, the Rakem, R-A-K-M. Okay, that's what the ancient Cometians called it. Now, if you look into ancient Hinduism, they actually broke down the 24,000 year cycle into 4 different parts, and they call them yugas. Okay, so here you have the Satya Yuga, 4,800 years, the Treta Yuga, 3,600 years, the Dwapara Yuga, 2,400, and the Kali Yuga, 1,200. And this is basically a total of 12,000 years. And but you know, it's 2 in 1. So I basically have this is a pictograph that I kind of put together that I piggybacked off of Cliff High, Mr. Cliff High, who's an independent researcher as well. So this is the dark star, and remember, family, this is ancient knowledge about the grand year. Because so you see, like how we have the sun, the Ra in our solar system, the sun. Then we have our sun, the Rakem, that goes around a much bigger sun. Okay, and this is where the chi energy and source energy emanates from. So there's a lot of high frequency energy raining down on the earth the closer we get to this dark star. And remember, I said in the beginning, it's much more difficult to control human beings at this time because it's much easier for us to become yogis. It's much easier for us to access our intuition because we just literally swimming in chi energy compared to when we in this period in time. So notice how I kind of broke down where in different sanctions, right? We have the Satya Yuga, which is the golden age, right? The Satya Yuga is the periods in time when we're just swimming in nothing but source energy, chi energy. Now, there's 2 different halves to this ecliptic orbit. You have the descending arc, okay, which is approximately around a 12,500 year devolution. So let's say our solar system, our ship, what we call Earth, the planetary system, it goes around, by the time it gets to this cycle here, it starts to descend away from the dark star, okay? And it's descending. So we're actually, what you see in the collective human aura, you will start to see human beings start to devolve, okay? This is the devolution cycle because we're moving away from source energy. And in the ecliptic orbit, we start to move into the Tretya Yuga, then the Dwapara Yuga, and then the Kali Yuga, which is like the Iron Age. This is like the winter time when a lot of evil and misunderstanding runs amok on the planet because we're so far away from source energy. We're literally like plants. And this is how the ancients and the higher ascended masters that live for thousands of years are able to determine human behavior around certain cycles, because we're literally receptive to these forces, okay? And we're receptive to when we're far away from source energy. So this is the descending arc, this part right here. Then when we get down to the bottom here, when we in this ecliptic orbit, we're moving closer to source energy. So we start to actually, you see the collective human family once again start to evolve, okay? So again, it's almost like it's an integrative technology. That's what matter is, family. And the beings that actually cultivated and build these planetary systems, it's almost like a technology where it's just built to move around source energy. And what's happening is this source energy is almost cultivating itself or fitting itself into different vessels and different bodies and ships. So it has different experiences of itself rather than being just this perfect emanating light all the time. It could actually experience different experiences through human beings, you see? And this is, I'm talking very metaphysical, but we are getting to the practices in the end. Now, you can see from the Iron Age here, this is the ascending arc. And remember, what do they talk about? They're talking about, again, basically, when they say this is the end of Pisces, going into the age of Aquarius, why is it they're saying this is the age of knowing? Why? Because the age of knowing, it means we're getting closer and closer to source energy, okay? Where our bodies and our vessels and the earth is going to be more energized with solar light, with chi energy. And the earth is transmutating from a lunar planet, a water planet, into more of a solar planet. So there actually will be, in the next thousands of years, there will be less water as the earth transmutates into more of a higher frequency, where the Bible talks about there'll be heaven on earth. Why do you think the Bible and Christians are talking about for 1,000 years there'll be heaven on earth? It's the Satya Yuga. When we get into this periods right here, these two yugas, this is like party time. You see? You know, we're gonna be able to be telepathic. It's gonna be a lot of supernatural stuff that, you know, a lot of human beings it's just naturally around this time when we start to actually wake up out of our sleep. You see, that's why you see predictions are happening, but it's not a prediction, family. It's mainly an observation of a particular pattern, as when human beings in this planetary system start to, this is the behavior we will start to have. So here, this is just a two-dimensional pictograph of the ecliptic orbit. And you could see the sun is not directly in the middle, so it's not really a central sun. Okay, it's more like a black star portal. And from here, this is the Sephiroth, if you ever look into the Kabbalah, that just emanates pure energy, okay? Pure energy away from it. All right. So getting into it, this age right here, we're going to talk about the Kali Yuga right here. Okay. How do they know this knowledge? Are we that old? The funny thing is, there never was a time when we didn't exist. I mean, it's man, there is no beginning to us. That could seem kind of weird, but we didn't come from Earth. We came from, we actually emanated from the star. We come from a much higher place. And um, that's why if you see in session 2, remember the quote, there was no beginning to man. Man is a part of the always was. Because if at one point you didn't exist, then you wouldn't really be here today. You see, and especially you being from India, growing up in India, you could start to make more sense as what the yogis were talking about when they said, oh, this is the Satya Yuga, this is the Kali Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga. It has everything to do with the positioning of the planetary system, and it's how far away is it from source energy, how close is it to source energy. You see, for me to tell you, okay, how did they know this knowledge? Maybe if you get into more meditative space, maybe something intuitively where it can make more sense to you, But again, this is all ancient knowledge, and all cultures talked about this particular star, okay? And it's something to do when we far away from it. Human beings tend to be a little more different, much different when we're closer to it. You see? So going to here, Kali Yuga, which once again is this right here, the Iron Age, when they call it the grand winter time. Because think of this as just a grand year, right? Where this is summertime, this is winter time, right? So the Kali Yuga is the age of materialism. Now, during Kali Yuga, humans are the least evolved, spiritually and intellectually. People are generally only able to comprehend material things and live lives of ignorance. Willpower was very low, and most people passively accepted their fate. Most written accounts of ancient knowledge were destroyed. Religion was rigid, dogmatic, and intolerant. Some people did know higher religious teachings, but they had to hide to avoid persecution. Of course, in every yuga, there are souls whose consciousness reflects a higher age, and the world's last Kali Yuga was no exception, having brilliant philosophers and artists. Near the end of ascending Kali Yuga, the Renaissance happened, and a lot of knowledge that was thought lost was found. All right? So, the Kali Yuga, you see Dharma. Dharma is another name for chi energy. Dharma, chi energy, is only 1/4 developed in this age. Now, family, we're talking about collectively. Can you cultivate energy to where you will experience Kali Yuga or Satya Yuga and experience the oneness with source energy? You can do that regardless of wherever you at in the cycle. So you don't have to suffer here. But what we're talking about is mainly the collective. The majority do not get it in these particular times. Okay? So here, Dharma, chi energy, is only 1/4 developed in this age. All right, next, the Dwapara Yuga, which is the age of energy. When we're getting closer now. So the Dwapara Yuga is right here, the Bronze Age, okay? And again, this has to do a lot with our biochemistry changes as well, family. Notice our blood work. What type of blood do we have? It's iron-based. If you look into the meta history of human beings, they talk about how the pharaohs or the energy masters had gold-based blood. They did not have iron-based blood because iron can rust. Gold, on the other hand, does not rust. So this golden age with Satya Yuga is a time where the biochemistry, being closer to the source energy, our avatars will start to transmutate to reflect that, and our bodies won't rust okay? And gold being a conductor, we will be able to retain and contain more of that source energy and do more supernatural works on earth and in matter, making it the golden age, you see? So you have times where, okay, we got bronze, we got silver, we got gold. So even the biochemistry in the avatar starts to reflect these emanations from the star, from these different planetary alignments, but they're like luminaries, they're like luminous lights, and we're receptive to these forces, you see? So the Dwapara Yuga is the age we are living in now, is referred to the age of energy, because in this age, we are better able to understand and harness energy than in Kali Yuga. In the Dwapara Yuga, technology is booming and all sorts of new religions, philosophies, and scientific discoveries are popping up. We now know that matter and energy are interchangeable. This is the age when we learn to transcend space and distance. We are already doing it somewhat with telephone, internet, and high-speed transportation. And in the future, we will probably discover the secret of instantaneous travel, allowing us to wander among the stars. Unfortunately, we still have a long way to go. Dwapara Yuga people are extremely self-interested, and so our motivation to achieve is usually selfish. And there are higher ways of perceiving the universe than just reason. So Dharma, chi energy, is 1/2 developed in this age. So just like how Kali Yuga is 1/4 developed, okay, in this age, we are actually more 1/2 developed. And when I say we, as in the oversoul, the collective human family, okay? So here, you can see that a vast majority of human beings function more as an artificial intelligence. It's not really from intention, so to say. They just kind of reflect these receptive forces. Whereas more of the energy master, the yogi, can actually have more of a higher intelligence and make a decision to cultivate from the inside out, rather than just kind of working off of the organic technology here, where you will just reflect to wherever you at, wherever the position of the planetary system will be. So once again, like I said in the past, most people, their DNA reflects the outside in, whereas a yogi, he will cultivate energy to build, or the immortal yogis will cultivate energy to build from the inside out. You see, where your DNA could now reflect your inner desires and thoughts, you see, on another level, compared to just being receptive to outer worldly influences. So at least you can see, even people that may not fully get the whole gist of it, they still can experience the supernatural abilities in Satya Yuga, you see. But again, you can see, notice how since this is like a cosmic game, again, this is a matrix family. This is a game we plugged ourselves into, okay? Whereas before you incarnated, you may have played other matrix games, whereas this game, they said, has actually been one of the most difficult ones. And you can see the way the technology was set up by the higher gods. You could see that Kali Yuga, the Iron Age, where evil is rampant, it's literally only about, 3,000 years, right? Or 2,400 years, whereas the Dwapara Yuga is 2,592, Tretya is 3,888, Satya Yuga in this arc is 5,000. So still more, when you decide to play the game, we still have more light overall, okay? So what does this mean? And I'll get to saying what that actually means, you see? Now, next is the Tretya Yuga, and I like this saying here: we are all connected to each other biologically, to the earth chemically, and to the rest of the universe atomically, okay? So Tretya Yuga is this age right here, okay? Tretya Yuga is the age of thought. In Tretya Yuga, we recognize that everything is interconnected. We will have strong mental powers such as telekinesis, mental telepathy, and the ability to manifest whatever we need. If there's any war, it will not be widespread. Most people will be peace-loving and compassionate. It will not necessarily be more technologically advanced than the Dwapara Yuga, just more spiritually advanced. Being more spiritually advanced and able to manifest at will whatever we need. We may actually leave technology behind and choose to live more simply and naturally. The big difference that separates the lower two yugas, Kali and Dwapara, from the upper two, Tretya and Satya, is self-interest. People in Kali and Dwapara Yuga are often greedy and live only to help themselves and sometimes their families and friends. In Tretya and Satya Yuga, however, people recognize that we're all connected and so work with the good of everyone as much as themselves. So, Dharma, chi energy, is 3/4 developed in this age. Okay? Right here. So it's 3/4. This is 1/4 developed. This is 1/2. This is 3/4 developed in the soul energy in the average human being. Okay? So here, next is the golden age, the Satya Yuga, the age of spirit. Okay? The Satya Yuga is currently incomprehensible to us as is Tretya Yuga. However, Siri Utawar does say in his book, the human intellect can comprehend all, even God, the spirit beyond this visible world. This is the age when we will be so spiritually advanced that God himself is part of our everyday experience. We will be able to see God in everyone and everything. Our intuition will be completely developed and will we lives are, well, that's a typo, sorry, of will our lives are happiness and natural simplicity. We will understand the nature of the universe and be able to communicate telepathically to anywhere in the world. Dharma, chi energy, is fully developed in this age. So again, this is like the grand summertime, right, where our planet or this technology, it's like a ship, basically, the organic ship. The planetary system will then start to reflect more of a higher spiritual light. That's why I'm trying to do good right now, because I want to make sure that I incarnate at that time, or live to that, or incarnate that time, because that's party time, man. Oh, that is party time. you know, but to the intricate details as to who comes around this time, obviously I can't say. Now, but we are building, see, at this time, now it's a lot of opinions as to, okay, well, some people are saying that we're in Kali Yuga and we're going into Dwapara Yuga, while others are saying that we're at the end. What I believe, okay, I'm more inclined to that the end of Pisces, moving into Aquarius. We're at the end of Dwapara Yuga. This is what a few yogis said. We're in the Dwapara Yuga, and we're actually at the end right here, moving towards Tretya Yuga. Okay, why am I saying this? Because the earth is getting warmer and warmer and warmer. We're getting closer to the dark star. And right now we're going into the silver age, and our bodies are starting to change. Our DNA is starting to change. You see? Remember in session 1, I talked about it was a new sequence of DNA that these scientists found out. Go back to session 1. It wasn't just a double helix, okay? It was a new DNA sequence taking place in human beings. And we're getting closer and closer. And why do you think when I said the Old Testament and New Testament? The Old Testament, the old body and mind. The New Testament, the new body and mind, okay? And then they talked about Christ, Jesus can come in the New Testament, representing the Christ consciousness, you see? So here, our bodies are starting to transmutate because our minds are starting to change. We're starting to rebel against our old habits, you see? Notice that there's a high frequency energy raining down on the planet, and it's making us rebel against our old thoughts and old habits, you see? So it's really interesting when you start to understand the ecliptic orbit around the dark star, and that no matter what the elites do, the vampires that currently running the system right now, they cannot take this cosmic energy that's raining down on Earth. So they're trying to spray the sky. They trying to like make it cooler. You see, they're trying to block the sun, you know, and they trying to sell off like using Greta Thunberg, like the little girl on the news, and using these kids to get to you emotionally, to say, oh, well, we need to save the planet. The animals are dying. Look, man, so much animals go extinct and reappear on Earth. Like, don't let that get to you, you know? This is a natural time, a cycle where the Earth is literally gonna get warmer and hotter and hotter and hotter. There ain't nothing they could do to stop it. You see? So when we look at, I'm gonna get back, let me go back to the two-dimensional graph. Sorry for going back and forth so much. Again, most of the time, in the 12,000 year descending arc and 12,000 year ascending arc, most of the time we're closer to source energy. So what you call goodness and light really reigns mainly most of the ecliptic orbit. We're closer to source energy. So what is this telling you? Telling us that chaos is always losing but never defeated. And this is a good quote from Alan Watts when he talks about the yugas. He talks about the yugas. He says that evil is just troublesome enough to give good a run for its money. It's as the game that's being played here. It's playing order against chaos. Check it, family. But if you've got to have some chaos, in order to play the game of order against it. But if order wins, there's no further game. If chaos wins, there's no further game. If they're equally balanced, it's a stalemate. So what happens is this. Chaos is always losing, but is never defeated. It's a good loser. But that is the game that is worth the candle. That takes playing chess. If you get an opponent who can always defeat you, you stop playing with him. If you get an opponent whom you can always defeat, you stop playing with him. But so long as there's an uncertainty of outcome and you win some of the time, then it's a good game. So you see how the yin and the yang, how, one, even though evil always getting its ass kicked, it never can be defeated. This is the metaphysics of chaos, because evil and chaos, there is a purpose in it. There is a purpose, you see? Remember, all of this, the matrix that we plugged ourselves into, it's a big game. And this is why I said, and I made that post on Facebook, that the government did not create mind control. Illuminati did not create mind control. Mind control is an ancient practice that we ourselves put ourselves into. Think about it. When you look at your birth natal chart, you can study self. You can study the programming that you got when you were seeded into this realm. The minute the sperm met the egg and the little implosion happened in the womb, there were constellations in a certain positions of the sun, the constellations that took place within the zodiac that affected your personality. So you absorb programming. You absorb the personality in a role to play, a mind control. That's why when you look at your birth natal chart, they give you a heads up. You see, they say, hey, you probably can have, issues with jealousy with a mate. You can have issues with finances. You can need to look. So they're giving you a heads up because that's what you absorb at the time. So what am I saying? You already had a program. You already were put under animation, mind control. But this is more of the organic mind control game that you had to overcome. Now, what the sorcerers of the planet, the evil sorcerers did, they created a matrix within a matrix. They created a mind control within the mind control, and then started to make the game difficulty much more harder. So the game became much more difficult, but you were already implanted into programming, a childhood programming from these receptive forces. Because remember, zodiac is zoo, zodiac. It's a zoo. Let's be real. The beings that created this shit, they look at human beings as a product, okay? They look at us more as an experiment. It's an experiential life, okay? So when you start to look at it like that, you see, it starts to give you a whole different perception as to, wow, you know, I still had to, I put myself in this game and my memory was wiped out, because if you were put into this matrix and you remembered everything, you would probably figure out you would probably leave the game within one day. We'll figure this puzzle out within one day and transcend. So it wouldn't really be much of a challenge. So when you put into this, your memory's wiped out. So they left clues when you look at all of the ancient structures, Stonehenge, the pyramids, the Mayans, Atlantis, Lemuria, ancient Kemet, and you know, all over the earth. When they left even the Sumerian tablets, when they etched these symbols on stone, all these ancient scrolls and symbols are just talking about one thing and one thing only, family. And it's talking about the genetic potential of the human being. It's talking about the higher human being. It don't matter what culture it is, whether it's from China or India or Africa or America, you know, or the Mexicos or wherever it is, all of the pyramids are interconnected. All of the same beings built these pyramids. It wasn't separate cultures. And when you begin to look into the symbolism, it's all talking about the higher human being and the genetic structure and genetic coding that's dormant in the human being. But through a certain righteous living, through a holy practice, holy science, you can cultivate the light. You could be celibate. You could learn how to transmutate the sexual energy. And you could use that sexual energy and with meditation to build yourself into a higher genetic structure. And then with inner alchemy, you could then even transcend beyond the game and figure out the game. And then you could then you could move on to actually building other worlds. I know this could seem like, how do you know this? And but if this could hit you intuitively, you would start to understand that you're much more than what you've been taught in these indoctrination camps and these institutions. You see? So all ancient cultures, all religious scrolls are talking about a genetic potential within you. So, the perfecting principle. The truth about life and what we are as a day-to-day, lifetime to lifetime, incarnation to incarnation unfoldment. All comes with divine timing. The path is never ending. The answers to life usually only spark more questions. Self is only a concept that contains many different degrees and transcends many dimensions. Basically, what I'm saying is that we are, as human beings, so vast and great that it's beyond our comprehension, therefore making the journey always incomplete and eternal. Completion is death, perfection is death. As one of my elders always said, it is the perfecting principle that's perfect, not perfection itself. The perfecting principle gave us purpose. You see, as Miles said just now, out of order comes chaos, out of chaos comes order. Oh yeah. So the ultimate objective of spirituality is not to remove the existence of evil or humanity's negative traits. Instead, we must confront and transform these dark forces, for it is only through the struggle of transformation that we ignite the spark of divinity within us. So this is from a book. Oh man, I can have to send in the name in the group. And it's a pretty good book breaking down the yugas and the positions of our planetary system when it's closer to source energy, the dark star, the central sun. Now, I just highlighted parts that I can read off of it. And it says here, Dharma, as we need to understand it in this context, is more than goodness and righteous. All right? Siri Yuktuza employs the phrase, the mental virtues of the internal world. The internal world refers to our inner consciousness, which implies more than outer behavior. People in whom Dharma is elevated, Dharma is chi energy now, inner chi energy. People in whom Dharma is elevated are alive, aware, creative, intuitive, far from dull and boring. They possess a lively and keen intelligence, deep, calm feeling, intuitive perception, the desire to enrich the world in which they live, a joyful, humorous, and warm embrace of life, and a continuous and conscious awareness of the spirit within and without. To fully embrace Dharma, therefore, is to fully express our highest potential. Okay, so this is another name for the central sun family. It's the Vishnu Navi. The sun also has another motion by which it revolves around a grand center called the Vishnu Navi, which is the seat of the creative power, Brahma, the universal magneticism. Now, let me just get into this. Brahma, okay, and Dharma are the same thing. Brahma is chi energy, right? But it's undifferentiated chi energy emanating from the stars, from the dark star, before it comes into an organism or to a planet. So Brahma is the undifferentiated expression of chi energy, and Dharma is when the chi energy has been breathed into our vessel and it has an internal functioning to maintain that micro universe. So Dharma is the label put on chi energy's function inside an organism. Okay? So Brahma, the universal magneticism, it informs us further that this Brahma, the universe magneticism, regulates Dharma, the mental virtues of the internal world. When the sun, during its revolution round its dual, comes to the place nearest to the grand center, the central sun, the seat of Brahma, this takes place when the autumnal equinox comes to the first point of Aries. This Dharma, the mental virtue, becomes so much developed that man can easily comprehend all, even the spirit beyond this visible world. So again, he's saying that when we get closer to Vishnu Navi, the mental virtues, the internal alchemy, the Dharma, is more developed. All right? And the last time the autumnal equinox occurred at the first point of Aries was 11,500 BC. At this time, our solar, sorry, I must have cut that off, but what I'm saying here is meaning of the word cycle. We learned that mankind's peak is reached, let me reword that. We learned that once mankind's peak is reached, there is an inevitable decline. And once mankind's darkest point is reached, there's an inevitable advancement. Don't you hear before, what goes up must come down? The minute the collective human family, we all reach perfection, we reach our goal, what happens? The inevitable decline takes place. We experience heaven for a few thousand years and then boom, you cut off. The collective family's cut off from it. And then, things start to take place where we in the challenges again. So that's what the whole ecliptic orbit around the central sun and the dark star represents. Nothing is forever. No state of consciousness is forever. Because if you stayed in that state of consciousness forever, it would turn into a prison. If you were perfect forever, it would turn into a prison. So the complete cycle is made up of an ascending half or arc and a descending half or arc, each lasting 12,000 years, as we spoke about. In the ascending arc of 12,000 years, mankind evolves through 4 distinct ages or yugas, reaching the peak of development, and then devolves through the 4 ages in reverse order, in another 12,000 years of the descending arc. Thus, in the course of 24,000 years, mankind as a whole rises in knowledge and awareness and again falls in a cycle that occurs again and again. And again, this is for people that want to play the game, family, because the few yogis that activated their solar body, their immortal solar body, and cultivated it, that transcended, they just ain't playing no more. And now you could actually go to build other games in other worlds, you see? So, okay, this here, oh, I did bring it up here. This is remember the New Testament is what? Testa means body, ment means mind. So it's a new body and mind being cultivated closer to the Bushnanavi, all right? Now, the influence of cosmic currents on people. Studies from the Voyager spacecraft now show that tsunami waves take place in the solar system, which simply cannot but affect our planet as well. We live in an absolutely unique time when humanity, under the influence of the currents of the central spiritual sun and other visible and invisible stars, is changing at a cellular level. So a lot of these diseases that people having is the fact that they have habits that are stopping the process. And the disease is actually a transmutation taking place at a cellular level to bring them to a higher place. But they keep going against the grain. The disease is trying to expel out the toxins and clean out the channels so that you could take in more of these cosmic currents. Okay? So, in April 2018, Australian scientists were able for the first time to detect a mechanism through which this might happen, namely a new DNA structure that was not previously observed in living cells, but studied in the laboratory. This structure is called I motif, appearing and disappears depending on environmental conditions. Scientists assume that this I motif helps the body control turning on and turning off certain genes. So here, this is the regular DNA helix, and this is what they actually discovered, all right? A new DNA structure is taking place. You could look it up. You could do your research, called the I motif. Okay, that's just a label they put on it. But there's new DNA sequences and cellular archives that's waking up in the genetic potential in humanity. This is what the Bible talking about. The end of a new age, the end of the world is the end of that age. In each age, human beings are personifications of these luminaries and these luminous lights that rain down on the planet. You are those luminous lights. You are them personified into a behavior. You are these lights personified into an experience. So, people and their hearts, check it now, with all these cosmic currents and this higher heat and energy raining down on Earth, a lot of people may not be able to take it because their bodies are their avatars are so distorted and their energy fields are off or out of whack. So people and their hearts must be prepared for this. Otherwise, no changes will happen, or those that do occur will bring undesirable consequences. Unfortunately, only 1/6 of the world's population is potentially ready for this. Nevertheless, already now it may be assumed that under the influence of cosmic currents, the above-mentioned mechanism in our cells will enable the best part of the present population to form a completely new evolutionary type of humanity, one that will live on. The heart chakra is like the central sun of the human being, right? So there's cosmic currents passing through our heart. Now, this is the book of Taizan. All right, right. This is where I also get some of this info. They say the Book of Taizan is actually a millions and millions old ancient book of the ancient history. Okay, so when a powerful influx of energy comes from the cosmos, listen now, family. I'm going to say again, when a powerful influx of energy comes from the cosmos, people with disharmonious thinking and behavior, or those surrounded by such individuals, are unable to pass this energy through their hearts properly. While circulating through certain channels, it may settle on one of levels. Then a rapid growth of cells begins. Check it now. A rapid growth of cells begins because the new energy has settled there. After some period of time, they may themselves dissolve or disappear as an outflow of energy. In other cases, the modified cell may grow, for example, into a benign or malignant tumor. This is why statistics show an increase in various types of cancer, and the World Health Organization predicts that the number of cancer cases will rise in the next 20 years by 70%. In this case, it is the hardest for the heart since it occupies a border position between the lower and higher structure of the human being. You see? So, continuing, the main challenge of the 21st century. While Agni Yoga, echoing ancient sacred scriptures, only warn humanity that that supreme form of yoga is especially essential today when new fiery energies are incrementally arriving on the earth from the cosmos. This is what people of antiquity warned us about when they predicted the coming of the epoch of fire. It is these energies that cause climate change and global warming when virtually every new year breaks temperature records high, and the inability of humanity to assimilate these cosmic currents results in natural disasters that have increased many-fold. All right, so it's going to be some big changes. So when they talk about there's going to be a lot of disasters on earth, you can see plagues, a lot of people dying, that is true. But it's because of these new fiery energies, these luminous lights, not new, but at this particular time that's raining down on earth. Fire is at the threshold. It is now already prevalent on our planet. July 2018 alone is enough to mention, with its 118 temperature records around the world. Scientists warn that the next 5 years will also be record hot. However, unfortunately, the process of global warming will not end in 5 or 50 or even 500 years, but will be intensified infinitely with only brief respites. This is because it does not depend on anthropogenic activity, which indeed brings extreme harm to nature and people themselves in the first place. And we can only welcome all the initiatives and efforts applied to reduce pollution of the environment. But warming, okay, so what they say in your family, the global warming, again, ain't happening from us riding in airplanes and cars and polluting the earth. That doesn't cause global warming. But warming occurs because our solar system is moving in the cosmos and is now approaching the central spiritual sun, the invisible source of fire that is located behind the constellation of Hercules. Indeed, astronomers have already determined that our sun is moving in the direction of this constellation. Our planet is not the first and not the last to pass through such a stage in its cosmic evolution. And the rich experience of other solar systems, which is in the hands of our teachers, shows that there are only two choices. There are only two choices, family. Either a simulation of new fiery energies and adaptation to new conditions, or explosion. And it is only within the power of the human beings populating a particular planet to make the choice in favor of life. So, our home, the dark dimension, represents the Rakim, which is the name the ancient Kemetic masters gave to the black sun or the dark star in the center of our galaxy. All of the stars, planets, and smaller or lower suns, like our sun Ra, revolve and circle around this grand central sun. It is from this dark central portal that all of reality manifests from, the Sephiroth. It is the Ein Sof in the Kabbalah that emanates and feeds all of the Sephiroths within the tree of life of Kabbalah, Medu Neter. Our pineal is a minuscule condensed expression of this powerful dark energy. It is the organ which aligns you to the dark world or dark dimension, balancing the darkness and the light. The dark portal is the movement or ever-flowing creative wonder of the creator to actualize what it already knows, but only as a concept. Let's continue. So now there is a talk, right, about these ancient beings, these luminous beings called the central race, okay? But there's many different names. You would call them the Elohim, okay? The ones that seeded us here in the first place. So the entire galaxy does an ecliptic orbit around a central sun, which is also known as a dark star. This sun is home to the most eldest ancient dark matter beings in the universe called the central race, our ancient progenitors, the ones that actually seed soul carriers and human DNA in different matrices, okay? We are them. We just a representation of them in this planetary system. You see, our ancestors, we should say. In the underground metahistorical records, these solaric entities are the ancient progenitors of the archetypal original melanated carbon-based human DNA. It is claimed that they seed higher life forms and create biological vessels to be soul carriers. The central race is the most ancient in the universe, as they are the first original beings created by God, first source. This race of beings were created sequentially in 7 stages, based on 7 distinct archetypal qualities of first source, hence 7 days to create the universe in the Bible. Consequently, the central race consists of 7 families known as the tribes of light. Radiant beings of the central race are eternal souls who inhabit refined bodies of pure light. They are the children of God, God fragments, you might say. They are first generation, soulful embodiments of first source itself, and are living beacons of light, of love, light, wisdom, and power. Using your imagination, they may appear as luminous holographic light-filled entities, the light streaming from them in smooth, pulsating waves of unfathomable splendor. Only rarely mentioned in mythology, the tribes of light have been recorded in the stories on earth by the names Elohim, the angelic hosts, and the shining ones. These luminous entities appear to us as being gods, but they are actually us. They are our past and future selves. So remember in session 2, when I talked about Genesis 1 represented the creation and cultivation of the first order human being on earth. And remember these beings, the Elohim said, let us make man in our image. Whereas Genesis 2 represents more the Anunnaki that altered the human being that was already there for slavery purposes. You see, but this here represents the beings that picture them. They are the ones. Remember how people that study metaphysics talk about how God fragmented itself and split itself into different fragments? Think of these beings as the angels or angels of light, right? And what they do is they're so filled with soul energy, they grab parts of themselves or even existing by the central sun, and they will put luminous lights, soul energy into vessels, and they will put these soul carriers into different matriarchal or matrix games or planetary systems to have a particular experience and be a representative of that game, of that matrix. You see? All food for thought. Now, central race. The cosmic central race is the most advanced race which has evolved around the cosmic central sun. It has now begun to focus its intention towards planet Earth and its liberation, because now there's enough consciousness on the surface of the planet to make cooperation with such evolved beings. Our solar system is now full of beings from the cosmic central race. Cosmic central race beings are also contacting the most advanced members of the surface population in their meditations, dreams, and visions. Now, the most famous interaction with these beings is in the book called Conversations with God, okay? That book has 3 different volumes, and that is the most famous interaction in our time with one of these luminous beings. The central race are the geneticists and property managers for the human DNA and are responsible for its distribution and growth in the ever-expanding universe. So there is, in the central race, there's different sanctions and different parts, like just like how in our society of human beings, we have different roles that we play. So they found an ancient ship. This ain't, obviously you're gonna have to dig deep, maybe look in the dark web or ask me for the document of the interview. They did find this ancient ship in Mexico that they believe to be coming from the central race. It's kind of, even if you look right at it, you wouldn't quite know, right, that it's a ship. But there were people that found, I don't know if it was an underground secret society or whatever. They went into the ship and they saw these pictographs and these pictures, right? And these literal like symbols, like, you know, like how you look at a crop circle and stuff like that. These symbols were almost like alive. And when you would stare at these pictographs, because these pictographs and these symbols could, you know, they say what a symbol could speak 1,000 words. People were actually being healed. Like literally, you would be able to look at these symbols and they would awaken certain DNA triggers in you. Now remember, they know how human DNA work. So even crop circles, people that were in the fields, these crops were in the crops while the crop circles were forming, and they saw these solar orbs creating these geometrical shapes. That's why when you look up in the plane and you look up down at the crop circle, it's like this geometrical pattern, like an oval shape. And remember, the shape, it's not a circle, it's the shape of an oval, these crop circles and these symbols. An oval shape to an occultist is the shape of thought. Thought is in an oval shape. So they're actually reawakening certain subconscious ancient thought patterns or DNA triggers. So crop circles are actually a geometrical shape that your conscious mind may not remember, but the ancient historic or the ancient part of you, the ones that seeded you, okay? No, when you look at that, your subconscious will know. It'll help to reawaken the genetic potential, okay? So they are helping, but it's more in the subconscious. So people talk about the evil that's going on, but there actually is a lot of good offsetting that evil into helping the awakening. But we have to do it on our own efforts. These symbols that they put all over the earth are clues, but they also awaken certain DNA triggers, okay? So the Wingmakers, it was a name given to a sanction of the central race of these luminous dark matter beings, you see? The Wingmakers are the ones that actually are like engineers and scientists. One of the compelling instincts bestowed by First Source upon the souls of the central race is to explore the far-flung realms of the super universe that they inhabit. To accomplish this, members of the central race, symbolically known as the Wingmakers, developed biological vehicles that were designed to be mobile instruments of perception that could interact with planetary terrestrial environments. A conscious particle of a soul could be placed inside the instrument and becoming its animating life force. Hence, the soul carrier would surround the precious soul, and through the soul carrier's senses, the soul is able to see, feel, explore, interact with, and transform distant worlds and dimensions. These beings only need to place a slight fragment of their consciousness in the soul carrier, as the greater part of the soul can remain in its native home, as the sanctuary of the wing makers on the fringe of the central race. Furthermore, a soul of the central race is such a vast, powerful, limitless entity. After all, it is an individualized expression of first source. It can easily put a tiny fragment of its consciousness into 1,000 different bodies simultaneously and send each out in a cycle of incarnation to explore the super universe in unique ways and different points of view in a multitude of places. In this way, the soul can have thousands of different conscious fragments of itself exploring different areas of the universe all at the same time. So I want you to think of the central sun or the dark star as a central hub, right? And all of the fragments, all of the human beings, the bodies, the soul carriers as feedback mechanisms back to this central supercomputer. Family, this is a technology. We are a technology to experience self. This is the organic technology. All right? We are feedback mechanisms to the higher parts of ourselves. And so you can see the structure of this relationship. A soul of the central race residing in its native home on the fringe of the central universe can act like a central hub for its thousands of fragments that are out exploring life, nature, planets, and cultures in the far corners of the super universe in which the soul resides. To quickly summarize this, the wing makers are a specialized faction of the central race who are responsible for the evolutionary progress of the human species, wherever it appears throughout the super universe. They experimented with and customized the DNA that makes the human vehicle or soul carrier that we are familiar with, our body, mind, and emotions that operates as a unified whole. A template of that design is exported to planets suitable for human life. There, the genetic seeds are sown and the human evolutionary process begins. So these beings, also beings living on the sun, Ra, on different planets, maybe let me not use the word planets, luminous lights. If you someone that look more into the earth as a flat plane and you don't really buy that the way that NASA tells us it is, okay? It's quite different from there. If you want to get deep into that, look into a brother called Santos Bonacci. He really hits home on what space actually is in the luminous lights. He's, more than just the regular mainstream of what NASA say it is, okay? So this is from another book, Thinking in Destiny, talking about concerning the government of the world. So when we talk about the real government, the ancient beings, right? The government of the world, the complete triune selves constitute the government of the world. They are an everlasting, perfect bodies of the two mortals, invisible physical realm of permanence. They govern the physical, the form, the life, and the light worlds. Complete triune selves are the active agents of intelligence who supervise but take no active part in the government. Okay? So again, these are the beings outside the matrices, looking at, just observing the experiments, you see? So, continuing, the complete triune selves, which is comprise the government, which is established in the realm of permanence, they occupy and operate perfect and immortal physical bodies. Their bodies are organized and composed of balanced nature units. I can get to breaking down what this means. These nature units are unintelligent, but conscious. They are not conscious of anything. They are conscious as their functions only. They are conscious of nothing more or less than their function. Therefore, their functions are laws of nature, always constant. They cannot act or perform any functions other than their own. This is why laws of nature are constant and dependable. Now, let me break this down first, because that could be a little confusing the way so we kind of getting into more higher degree of thought. This is like a high level of PhD of thinking. So now, when they're talking about the nature units, right? And the body, their bodies are organized and composed of balanced nature units. And these nature units are unintelligent but conscious. Now, the nature units they're talking about are the sensory organs, okay? Your body, your avatar, right? You can, the sensory organs of sight, hearing, smell, and touch, feeling. So these sensory organs are just a technology, a feedback mechanism to the soul. They're not intelligent. They're just conscious as their function. I'm going to say again, they're conscious as their function. It's almost like an artificial intelligence. Okay? It's a technology. But the sensory organs, the nature units, are an integrative technology responding to thought and intention. So that's why when we think, how we live, the intention we have, the cells in our body are listening to us like children. They're like little children listening to everything you think about, and they're going to work to make it a reality. You see? So it's an integrative technology. It's intelligent, but it's only conscious as its function or the orders it's given. So when you live a certain way, right? Like in lust or eating a certain way or in the 7 deadly sins against the laws of life, the nature units, the sensory organs become imbalanced. And this is what they mean by to balance out the nature units. Okay, so again, when I read it, the nature units are unintelligent but conscious. They are not conscious of anything. They are conscious as their functions only. Like the sensory organ of sight is only conscious as that feedback mechanism. They are conscious of nothing more or less than their functions. Therefore, their functions are laws of nature, always constant. They cannot act or perform any functions other than their own. This is why laws of nature are constant and dependable. Now, what? Balanced units are trained to function as laws of nature during their service in a perfect immortal body of a complete triune self, which is serving as one of the government of the world in the realm of permanence. Each such perfect body is a living university machine. From the admission of the unit into the perfect body and its beings and its being a constituent part thereof until it is qualified to leave the body, the unit successfully progresses in its development from each degree to each next higher degree in that university machine. The unit is conscious as its function only in each degree, and in each degree its function is a law of nature. Let me simplify that. When you cultivate energy and you bring the subtle light into the body and you move the sexual energy and bring it back up to the brain and you cycle it up and down without wasting it, this internal alchemy then transmutates the sensory organs and matter, these nature elements, and it starts to balance them out to reflect more of the spiritual realm. You see? So when you meditate, you're transmutating the artificial intelligence, you as an artificial intelligence, into a higher intelligence. Most people on earth are more functioning from programs that are emanated from the zodiac or programs coming from the Vatican, from the parasitic reptilian elite that even created another matrix within the matrix. Okay? May have to watch this a couple of times to get really, because I try to really transcribe this. Not everyone talks about it at this level. So when you start to meditate and cultivate energy, you're bringing the cosmic forces in and electrifying the human body, the avatar, moving the sexual energy up and down with the inner alchemy. And you're now transmutating the avatar to more of a higher intelligence. Now you represent a higher intelligence of light rather than the artificial intelligence of the technology of the earth, of animation, of animal mind. Animal just means animation. Zodiac just means it's a zoo. Okay? So, when the nature unit has qualified in being conscious successfully as each and every function of that immortal body of balanced units, it is potentially conscious as every law of nature. It has finished its course as an unintelligent nature unit and is ready to be advanced beyond nature to become an intelligent triune self unit. So when you cultivate that subtle body, okay, because there's another etheric solar body you cultivate that you have to nurse, okay? You are now bringing that nature unit, and it's progressively evolving with the meditation to the point now where the unintelligent nature unit is transmutating to a higher vehicle beyond nature to become an intelligent triune self unit. That's the term he gives it, triune self unit. When it is advanced beyond nature, it is an AIA and is later raised to the degree of translated into the triune self unit. Think of the triune self unit as just a perfected nature element. As a triune self unit, it is to be the successive triune self who is its predecessor in training the nature units in the perfect body, in which it has been educated. Thus, all stages are as links in the chain of being progressively conscious in higher degrees, and this chain, made up of units that are conscious in progressively higher degrees, is kept broken. So, you're here to spiritualize matter. That's what you're doing. You're spiritualizing matter, because matter and nature that's disconnected from the higher light of intelligence becomes more chaotic. Or you become addicted and you become stuck in this place. So, we're getting deep now. The doer, right? To be an operator of the body must prove its ability to manage and maintain its perfect body, whose functions are laws of nature. The lost word in Freemasonry is you, is the lost doer in the body of imbalanced nature units. You just in limbo, unconsciously incarnating. You just in limbo. You don't know how to cultivate. You don't know how to transform from an artificial intelligence with imbalanced nature units to a higher intelligence with more of the perfected nature units. Now you could take the ship beyond and transcend beyond the matrix to where now you could maybe even work with the central race, or you could start to build or become an absolute and build your own matrix systems, be an engineer yourself, like moving on up in the game, you see? So all of that, family, is again, just to give you more of a higher perception of who and what you are, okay? Just look at it as food for thought. Next, we're getting into the practices. Now, when it comes to cultivating energy, you have to understand that there are energetic centers in the body. There are 3, and these energetic centers in Eastern medicine, in Qigong, okay, are called dantians. Dantian is loosely translated as elixir field, or sea of qi, or simply energy center. Dantians are the chi focus flow centers, important vocal points for meditative and exercise techniques such as Qigong, martial arts such as Tai Chi, and in traditional medicine. So you have 3 different dantians, right? Now, What are dantians? We're going to say again, a dantian is simply an energy center. Think of the battery you have in your cell phone. Most of us charge our phones overnight, so when we wake the next morning, we have a phone that can get us through our busy day. The dantians, much like that battery, have the potential for robust power that can be utilized for a variety of activities. Conversely, by the end of the day, you are scrambling around for your charger because you have only 2% on your phone, and God forbid you miss the next important Facebook post. The same is true for the energy centers in the body, the three dantians. The lower dantian, all right, is located 2 inches below the navel. It is the source of energy which builds the physical body and allows us to develop and use qi and shen. All right. Now, it's right under here. This is where this right here, family, your solar plexus, your dantian is the beginning stages to when you, to understand, that's like your bank account of stored spiritual energy, okay? The middle dantian, located at the heart, it is energy created from food and air and relates to our emotions and thoughts. Now, the upper dantian is your pineal gland. The upper dantian, which represents the shen, located at a center point just higher than the eyebrows, it is related to our spirit or consciousness. So, now at the beginning stages, family, when it comes to meditating, now real meditation is understanding the functions of the lower dantian, and that is the foundation to spirituality. Any reference to the dantian is most likely referring to the lower dantian unless a distinction is made. A few reasons for this. It is the first and original source of qi energy. The other dantians and most Tai Chi energy points in the body cannot be felt until enough energy has been built in the lower dantian. So I can say again, the other dantians and most Tai Chi energy points in the body cannot be felt until enough energy has been built in the lower dantian. And I can tell you from first-hand experience that it took me a few months to finally feel that cultivation of energy where it will really energize me, because I had to develop it in my lower dantian. I actually cultivated for a full hour in the sun before doing this class. So energy then travels to these other points and lends them their sensation. In martial terms, it is the center for power. What should we understand about the dantians? Our goal in Tai Chi and in Qigong is to build our energy within the body and increase the circulation of fluid. So, lower dantian. When the Jing is strong and the lower dantian is full, the person is strong, robust, and full of stamina in all ways and exudes physicality. When the Jing is feeble and the lower dantian is uncultivated and weak, this person is frail, aging, and low energy. Furthermore, the lower dantian is considered the body's second brain. The term gut feeling comes from the notion that the lower dantian is the home for kinesthetic feelings, communication, and awareness. Western science follows a similar concept, crediting the enteric nervous system as the brain in the gut. Researchers have found that much like the brain in the head, the enteric nervous system sends and receives impulses, records experiences, and responds to emotions. The masters of Kung Fu, the healers in the Qigong world, and the mystics in Taoism all knew and know this. And this is why we start at the lower dantian when our training begins. So, for 1 year straight, all I did was focus on breathing into my abdomen in meditation. That's all I did. I may have done different postures in Qigong, but the focus was the same. The lower navel area is called the lower dantian. The lower dantian is the primary energy center and storage for spiritual qi energy. This is the foundation to cultivating your inner fire, Agni. The lower dantian is also your second brain. Meditation and cultivating energy in this center is the first step to awakening higher intuition. This year has been my biggest growth spiritually, just yada, yada, yada. All right, that's me. So how do we increase our energy in the three dantians? The two important principles that begin cleaning that begin cleaning and building energy are posture and breath. 1, maintain a good posture, and 2, regulate our breathing. Then we 3, coordinate our movements with our breath, and at an advanced level, move our energy internally with our intention, okay? Martial arts artists have known about this technique for centuries, and this one little point of emphasis is the bulk of the reason that some of the most well-known fighters of our time were capable of mind-blowing power. Speed, explosiveness, and rootedness all manifest from the basic piece of bioenergetic anatomy, the 3 dantians. Regarded as the 3 major energy storage facilities in the body, everything we understand about our physicality, emotional balance, and connection to intuition can be credited to the health and welfare of these 3 energetic epicenters. Athletes, martial artists, and weightlifters all begin tremendously by nurturing this aspect of who they are. Each has an energetic responsibility to keep the human machine operating appropriately. When the 3 are nurtured, the body, mind, and spirit have a discernible advantage when it comes to physical, mental, and spiritual health. So this starts off with a beginner level of a lower dantian breath work, right? But it's really just normal, very normal abdominal breathing. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to do a separate recording in PowerPoint to the more to the real lower dantian breathing. That's when you breathe into the PC muscle, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna then send another recording after this class within this week, breaking down, okay, what to do and how to breathe into your testicles as a man and how to breathe into the ovarian as a woman. Because then when you then normally know how to breathe into your abdominal area, there is a next stage where you have to contract the PC muscle, which is the muscle used to stop. Like if you have to pee, when you want to stop the piss, you contract the muscle and it stops peeing. That's what the PC muscle is. And you have to contract that muscle to store energy into the dantian. That's what Taoists teach. So here. Our greetings, family. What we have here. Lovely day in Costa Rica. This was me in Costa Rica. I did say that I would pre-record. And this is the foundation for, you know, I could just talk over it. Okay, this is the foundation for meditation. Breathing, a normal abdominal breathing, okay? Now, I'm just gonna go off. When you breathe in, your belly should expand, okay? Make sure your posture, your spine is straight. Okay, so you see here, I'm saying breathe in through the nose, and when you breathe in, your belly expands. And when you breathe out, it contracts. Hold on, my arm is about to move in a sec. So you see, I'm gonna send this separate video too into the, I think it's already in the group, so you can watch it as well. So lower dantian breathing, but I should just say normal abdominal breathing. So right here, foundation. There's no such thing as meditation without this. And then what I'm saying here, the tongue should be at the roof of the mouth, okay? When the tongue is at the roof of the mouth, that stimulates the pineal gland and that closes a circuit because you have 2 channels, okay? You have 2 primary channels. And when usually it runs in a certain way, just subconsciously. But when you put the tongue to the roof of the mouth, you're consciously moving the energy up and down the primary channels, okay? There is also a video. That's why I say I'm sending a video of the microcosmic orbit and why, breaking down the anatomy as to why you put the tongue to the roof of the mouth in this meditation, even moving the sexual energy up and down. So tongue at the roof of the mouth, all right? You could close your eyes, just focus on the breath. And I will be sending this video. So now you will see spine straight. Breathe out. Breathe in. Belly expands. Breathe out. Belly contracts in. Breathe in. Belly expands. That is abdominal breathing. That's how you should naturally breathe. Okay, so you're going to have to retrain the body and regulate the breath for a while until the body naturally breathes that way. So you can see, again, look at how I contract, breathe in, and you can see, breathe in, belly expands, and it's just a natural rhythm. Okay, that is the foundation, and you have to practice that first before you get into really cultivating energy. You cannot be meditating and be a shallow breather. How the hell you can energize with breath if you a shallow breather? So meditation, again, ain't just you sitting down. You have to start to regulate the breath first. So next is these yoga asanas. And I do them about 2 to 3 times a week. Or sometimes I just do burpees to get the toxicity moving, get the energy flowing. But yoga asanas are postures. And yoga asanas are meant to prepare you for meditation. Okay? Because it gets the energy flowing. You see? It gets the blood flowing. So here, all right, okay, family. Now the second step is these are the basic yoga postures, not the advanced stuff, just the basic yoga asanas. Like here, simple one, downward facing dog. 30 seconds. You just breathe for 30 seconds. Just breathe naturally. All right? And I'll send the video, this video with another YouTube video. This is the plank. Again, these asanas are meant to prepare for meditation, just to get the energy flowing. Circulation, circuitry, hand circuitry, circulation. You're dealing with chi energy, electricity, the electromagnetic field of the body. So that's the plank. Next, I don't remember all the names. All right. So this gets, you breathe, and these specific postures move the energy in certain areas. Next, you can see, and it's really a workout too, man. Like it's really a workout. Oh my God. All right. Just grabbing the toes, stretching the lower back, stretching the legs, getting the lymphatic system flowing. Next, just one foot. Then I go to the other. And then I just allow my face touches my my feet, my toes. Just good asanas, body postures. This is the warrior pose. This really gets the core, strengthens your core. There's 3 different types of warrior poses. And you know, just breathe naturally. Oh, my bad. And then this is the second warrior pose. All right. Hands to the front. And 30 seconds each, just 30 seconds on each stance. And this is the next side. Third warrior pose in yoga. And again, people disconnect yoga. The asanas are meant to prepare you for deep states of meditation, cultivating energy. You're not cultivating energy here. What you're doing is you're getting the circulation ready. All right. And what we got next? Oh, that's a good one, boy. That's oh Lord. That gets you flowing. And then this right here, arching your back up. So these are just regular, just the basic, you know, maybe I don't know if y'all could do that one, but that's also getting blood rushed down to your head. So these are just the basic yoga postures. There's many different ones, but you know, you don't try to get lost in doing all of that, you know. So again, that's going to be a part of the package. And then this is just a regular qigong exercise that you can find it on with Elatom Elamine. You could find it on Yo Chi, a sister, a woman that teaches qigong postures. So you can choose what type of qigong poses you like. You see, but you have to have the foundation right, though. You got to know how to regulate the breath. You got to do the normal abdominal breathing. And then you got to then contract the PC muscle, do the embryonic breathing. And then it can get to the point where you no longer need to regulate, and it's regulation without regulation. And it's just a natural breath. And then that's a deeper state of meditation because you're not consciously trying to do something. So here is, you can see this in Ella Tom's class. Well, not class, but one of his videos and a few other people. They tell you before meditation, if you don't do the yoga asanas, you want to get the energy loosened up. You want to start rotating the neck because there's tension built in the neck. All right. You want to loosen that energy up. Okay. And then after the neck, we usually go to the shoulders because there's just on the key points where energy will build up. Want to loosen the tension in the shoulder area, again, preparing for chi flow and energetic flow in meditation. So you want to get the energy flowing. So that's the forward rotation. And then the backwards rotation. Get the lymphatic flowing, get the blood flowing. Next, this is a big one, as a lot of spiritual energy is trapped in the hips. Okay, a lot of energy trapped in the hips. So you do like a hula hoop almost, but you're rotating around, and you're breathing. You're breathing in. You breathe in when you go forward, breathe out when you go back. All right. Rotate it the other way. Get that energy flowing. A lot of spiritual energy, kundalini, is trapped in the hips. So believe it or not, this seems like this ain't much, but oh, it's a lot. Then you want to get energy that's contained in the knee area, the lower calves. You want to get all that flowing. And if you do this too with asanas, you really get a good meditation. So sometimes I will do the asanas, then I will do this. Okay? That's because this is what Elatom puts in his class. These what it is, these stretches here. But the asanas is something that's added on with the body postures that I put in. So here we have massage the intestinal area. A lot of energy trapped in the intestines. You want to get that energy moving, preparing for your meditation. You always want to stretch and do something like this. Whether it's the asanas or whether it's this type of work here, to get that energetic flow. All right? Just kind of just stretching out. And then this is just when we swimming in chi, stretching the back, stretching the legs. And when you stay consistent with this, You will actually feel the tingling sensation in the hands, in the face, in the pineal, all over the body of spiritual energy coming into the body. But that takes dedication and practice, you see? And this is just the basic Qigong stances that I will be sending as a package. You make a Qi ball. You could feel the electromagnetic field in front of you as you make that Qi ball, and then you can move it around. You have to, I'm also adding Tai Chi movements, okay? But you move the energy around as you please, and then we can see there's just a few Tai Chi movements. You could type in the basic Tai Chi in YouTube as well. That will be in the package. So we have here, this is the first stance. This is the meditation here. All right. Hands in front of the lower dantian, which is 2 inches below the navel. And what you're doing is now you're focusing on the breath. You can see my belly expand. And when I breathe out, it contracts. Okay. But I'm also contracting the PC muscle, which I will have to create another recording and send off in the package, because I have to basically break down the anatomy of how to do that. You see? But you got to know how to do normal abdominal breathing first. This is the second stance in the basic Qigong poses. Hands in front of the face, like that. Again, normal abdominal breathing. You will not, it will blow your mind when you be consistent with this, when you start to feel the cosmic forces come into the body. Third pose, which is a mudra, the prayer pose, right in front of the heart, okay? Focusing on the breath. All right? Consistency, family, dedication. This is how you can assimilate the energy coming from the dark star, coming from the cosmic forces that we are receptive to. And then this is the fourth pose, which is a tree pose. We're acting as trees now. Just like how trees have photosynthesis, we as human beings have hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is iron-based, while the photosynthesis, or the chlorophyll, sorry. The chlorophyll in the plant is, I think it's magnesium, or I can't remember what it was based. But with these tree poses, you're synthesizing cosmic light and solar light. You're taking in more solar energy by breathing into the lower dantian. It's really simple. Now the fifth pose is hands face down to the earth. Okay? So I'm gonna have to do a step-by-step where you practice normal abdominal breathing, and then you get in then the lower dantian. And these are different poses in Qigong. So it's kind of like you finding your own groove. You don't do it, you don't have to do it exactly like me, exactly like anyone. As you get used to doing it, you start to find your own groove, since it's your own personalized energy. What you're doing is you're just accessing your own intuition. So you will be getting this video and with other poses as well. Now, there is a process called a breath called the full yogi breath, which is a 3-part breath. Okay? And I'm just going to read this off. The full yogi breath begins with a deep and fluid inhalation that fills 3 sections of the torso independently but continuously. First, we breathe into the lower abdomen, right? The normal abdominal breathing. Then we breathe into the middle section of the torso, expanding the diaphragm and the ribs as the inhalation continues. And finally, we draw the breath into the upper chest and shoulders as the inhalation comes to a close. This slow and purposeful inhalation is then followed by a long, slow, gentle exhale, expelling the breath from these same 3 sections of the torso in reverse order, releasing the upper chest, then the diaphragm and ribs, and finally the lower abdomen. One round of full yogi breath includes 1 complete inhalation and one complete exhalation. Okay, so this is really how you could draw in a lot of prana into the body for healing. You see, you draw in a full breath. Okay, and so once the lower abdomen has been filled completely, continue the inhalation by filling the mid-torso in a similar manner. Continue to draw the breath upwards from the navel to the ribs, allowing the breath to gently expand the diaphragm, the ribs, and the mid-back as the breath continues to rise. Once the mid-torso feels full, complete the inhalation by drawing the breath into the upper chest, allowing prana to rise up into the heart, the sternum, and finally into the shoulders and the base of the neck. Feel the collarbones lift slightly. This completes the inhalation. For many, there is a brief but natural pause at the top of the inhalation. If this occurs, just allow it to be there for a moment before surrendering to a long, slow exhalation. First, release the breath from the upper chest as the heart, lungs, sternum, and shoulders all relax, dropping down and drawing in toward the spine. Then expel the breath from the mid-torso, feeling the ribs contract and the navel draw in closer to the spine. And lastly, release the breath from the lower abdomen, feeling the belly contract and draw inward toward the spine. Obviously, I will be sending you a video demonstration of that. You see? So, after several rounds of the full yogi breath up to 15 minutes, allow your breathing to return to normal for a minute or two before gently opening your eyes and bringing your practice to a close. So this can help with the healing process as well and really help to energize the avatar and to really oxygenate the blood. So here, when it comes to movement of sexual energy, so let's say that you're celibate, tantric, or even if you're not, even if you do ejaculate as a man sometimes, and as a woman, you lose your menstruation, this is still powerful to do every day. So here's the microscopic orbit where we have two of the primary energy channels, okay? One in the front, one in the back. Now, chi flows down the conception vessel right here. And then this is, what's the name of this vessel here? Like I was saying, when you close the roof, put the tongue to the roof of your mouth, you close the circuit. So like here, energy moves like an infinity naturally through your body, right? So here, the energy comes, so let's say it comes up along the spine and then it passes to the top of your mouth, comes to the back, and then goes like this way. So it's like this circulation here, right? And then this energy, this comes down, it comes up from here, and it comes from your tongue, right? So this, like, let's say this goes from your tongue and it moves this way. So when you touch the tongue to the roof of the mouth, you close a circuit. So naturally, without putting the tongue to the roof of your mouth, this is how it moves, like a 8 symbol, infinity, right? So look, this is a pictograph of it. Coming down, naturally, it just moves along like this way. But when you put the tongue to the roof of the mouth, this dotted line, it just moves as one orbit, just up and down. This isn't in the middle. You close the tongue to the roof of the mouth, just move it up and down, up and down. This is how, with the proper breath work and breathing, you can move the sexual energy up and down with the tongue to the roof of the mouth, okay? So here, building the bridge with the tip of the tongue, touching the, right here, palate, you see? So the exercise itself usually begins with the preparation designed to relax the physical body and develop the ability to concentrate. Students may indeed be encouraged to practice Taoist yoga exercises or Tai Chi as a way of building enough energy to begin performing the microcosmic orbit exercise, as it can induce a strain on the nervous system and cause energy depletion of practice without adequate preparation, okay? So that's what I'm talking about, building on just practicing a normal abdominal breathing first. To begin with the student, To begin with, the student is encouraged to develop deep abdominal breathing into the primary dantian or Taoist energy center to develop heat and pressure in the lower abdomen or golden stove. A preparatory exercise known by some as the lesser heavenly circulation involves moving energy between two areas known as the seat of fire near the heart or the solar plexus, where a psychic center symbolized by the trigram Li from the I Chi is located, and the seat of water in the areas of the kidneys, where a psychic center symbolized by the trigram Ken is located. Now, normally, essence or Jing can flow either way through the 8 extra meridians or energy pathways in the body. But in the microcosmic orbit meditation exercise Jing is encouraged to flow upwards along the governor vessel during inhalation and then downwards along the conception vessel, returning to the dantian on exhalation. This means that energy flows from the dantian downwards to the base of the spine, then up the back along the center line of the body to the crown of the head, then over the head and down the front center line of the body and back to the starting point again, making a full circle or orbit. This prevents the body's natural essences from becoming depleted as they normally flow downwards from the brain or sea of marrow and are lost during ejaculation or menstruation during the reproductive processes. It is this Jing or essence which is responsible for the reproductive processes in the body, which allow the body to rejuvenate itself, as well as for the reproductive processes which give rise to offspring. Essence is also an important component in the manufacture of qi, which can be translated into English as vitality or energy. The primary motive force, which is life itself, this raising and lowering Jing through the microcosmic orbit and returning it to the dantian, purifies the essence and transforms it into qi or vitality. You see? So, as well as the lower dantian or cauldron, there are other important points along the circuit of energy flow, which include the 3 gates, which are areas where it is considered that energy may stagnate. These are the Wu Lu, or tailbone gate, and the dorsal gate on the back, roughly level with the heart, and the jade pillar on the back of the head. Other important areas include the Ming Men, or the gate of fire on the back about level with the kidneys, which is directly, or the Ni Wan, which is directly the top of the head. The microcosmic orbit should be viewed in context of a variety of Taoist exercises and techniques designed to purify the body physically, mentally, and spiritually, improve health and longevity, and prepare the way for meditation, and also including other techniques such as the macrocosmic orbit, which means circulating energy into other psychic energy meridians, which flow around the torso and out into the arms and legs, which is a more advanced technique that you probably shouldn't do until you get the basics in. So besides all that fluff that I just read, basically you're just moving the energy in one big orbit rather than just kind of in this is the way it just naturally moves without you putting the tongue at the roof of the mouth. Okay? So one thing you can start to experiment with is mudras when you start to get good with your cultivation, but this is after a while, where in Ayurveda, yoga mudras are used in healing. The mudra may involve the whole body or part of the body. Mostly common, it is a hand position. Mudras used with yoga breathing exercises invigorate the flow of prana in the body, and that way revitalizing different parts of the body. Yogis practice mudras during meditation or during pranayama, and although there are hundreds of different mudras, however, there are 10 mudras that are the most common. So, if you ever watch those animes, you notice when they want to channel out a certain energy, they would have a specific hand mudra. And these mudras, when you cultivate energy and you breathe into the dantian, these send out an intention. You could actually channel the prana into different areas of the body. So the hand, okay, a mudra is a seal or gesture that facilitates the flow of energy in the subtle body. Mudras help you draw yourself inward. Each is a symbolic gesture that can stimulate different areas of the brain, transmitting an exact goal of channeling energy flow during meditation. The seal creates a circuit in the body that helps generate a state of mind. So you could actually change up your moods, your thoughts, and your mind by cultivating or storing chi and then using the mudras, okay, to then channel the chi in a certain area. So each hand represents the elements of nature. You have, that's why it's 5 fingers, right? You have the fire element representing sight, the air element, right? The index, the middle finger is space, ring finger is earth, and this is the water element, the pinky, right? So each, believe it or not, your hands, which is like an extension of your nervous system, of your senses, are also certain gestures of the hands are connected to the cosmos, okay? So when they say he's got the whole world in his hands, that song, it's a literal thing, right? So these specific meditations, you would just start off with Qigong, then get into microcosmic orbit and the Merkaba, but the Merkaba is actually more advanced. I haven't even started. I mean, I did it, but I haven't done it consistently yet. So I'm not really teaching that per se. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send an article on the top 10 common mudras, okay? And you will realize when you channel chi, you could have a hand gesture that could help with cleaning the colon. You could have a hand gesture to get rid of depression. You could have a hand gesture while you're cultivating a mudra to give you a sense of gratitude, a better mood, right? There's even one when it comes to developing understanding in others, having patience. There's also one if you don't, to suppress lust. Like if you have lustful thoughts and you're trying to, but you don't probably want to suppress it too much, but family, it gets really interesting when you start to see the power that you can have right at your fingertips. So instead of introducing a herb or a food that needs processing to get a specific mood, you could stimulate the cells from intention with these mudras. It's really interesting. So, family, that is actually the end of session 6, but I am sending, like I say, a package, like a whole package in on basically a document on the steps. Like, okay, you want to focus on a normal abdominal breathing, then, I'm going to send a recording on the embryonic breathing into the testicles, charging up the sexual energy, the gonads, and then using the microcosmic orbit to move the energy up and down, okay? So I'm also experimenting, and Namin, you did ask if I was creating a group. I am, this is after the spiritual experiment, because I usually cultivate 30 minutes to an hour a day. But starting today, I'm actually gonna go cultivate for another hour right after this class. Here is a little secret that I can give to y'all that a lot of people do not know. And it's very applicable, family. It will change your life. When you cultivate energy at these 4 peak times of the day. Now, the ancients said that there was 3 different positions to Ra, to the sun, that you should show up to, right? Or 3 positions to Horus, the horizon. You have sunrise, midday, and sunset. The sun is emanating a different amount of light at these peak positions. So it's good if you can wake up with the sun, go outside and cultivate, come back inside, chill out, do what you're doing, go back outside midday, cultivate, come back in. 3rd time, sunset, cultivate. That's 3, an hour each time. Now, again, this may not be conducive for certain people's lifestyle. Maybe go for 30 minutes. But the fourth time is cultivating at midnight. Okay? Midnight is also a keen time yogis talk about. When you cultivate midnight outside now. Now, I want y'all to think for a second. How often do you spend time outside at night? Isn't it a lost art? So now when you decide to make a decision to go out and cultivate, it gives you a reason to be outside at night, to cultivate under the moon, under the stars. And guess what, beloved? There is information, higher coding being passed on to you at night as well. So what I'm doing is I'm experimenting where I'm going to cultivate. I'm going to wake up, cultivate for 1 hour in sunrise, cultivate 1 hour at midday, cultivate 1 hour at sunset, cultivate 1 hour at midnight. Because, again, these are peak times. And you're not going to hear this from a lot of people. But if you can keep up with that every day, if you can keep up with that every day, you have the healthiest diet on the planet. Because you're bringing in energy constantly and respecting the alignments of the cosmos of our orbs, the sun and the moon. They affect us the most, right? A lot, because they're closest to us, but also with the cosmos. A lot of our people do not be outside. We spend a lot of time inside, you see, and you miss out on a lot of the beautiful things that the Creator is bringing to us, the beautiful things that these beings are emanating onto the planet, you see, because after all, you are these luminous lights. And when you start to cultivate and bring the energy in, it's really simple. It's not that it's difficult. It just takes dedication and practice. You see? So that's actually the experiment. And then I'm scheduled for a podcast. I'm scheduled for a podcast right after the experiment, you see? And does cultivating at midnight counter the sleeping cycle as best for your body? See, the thing is, that's why I say it may not be, can't do midnight if you know what I mean? If you have kids, if you work, like I could do it now. But I'm going to bed at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock because the most important sleep is sleep before midnight. Okay? Because that's when the liver is the most active. Deep sleep therapy, as we spoke about in session 3, when I talked about the circadian rhythm, and that at that time, you should be asleep or meditating, but you should be, sleeping. But I am going to midnight at the time, and the energy is very high at night too, and the moon is full moon and stuff like that. I'm just probably going to set an alarm because I work in the middle of the night as well, as you know, since you're a trader as well, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be outside for an hour as well. Now, the only issue I may have is damn mosquitoes, so I got to put on some clothing and put on some neem and stuff because we do have a good amount of insects here in the Bahamas that can get in between, So that is currently the spiritual experiment that I am doing, okay? And I am also going to, I'm ordering a copper pyramid, you see? If you get a pyramid structure, they have copper meditation pyramids, and you sit under a pyramid, you could channel even more cosmic energy. So this is all occult knowledge of nutrition now. It's not anything, again, this is things that yogis and the people in the esoteric circles understand. Even Mr. Aleister Crowley spoke about this 4-hour meditation. A lot of occultists at certain peaks and times where you show up and you show gratitude to the laws of life. You see, the reason you woke up is because the sun has risen. So it's showing gratitude. And when you show gratitude and cultivate that energy, then your affirmations, what you want to manifest, what you want to create, what you want to build, it's heightened on another level. You start to become a mover of the chess of the game, So with that being said, that's just kind of my experiment that I'm conducting and as I'm starting today, and I will be heavy on urine therapy to kind of, I still will be eating. I may have a 1 day a week I would fast, but I'm just focused more on the cultivation. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna send in this recording, but I'm going to put together a Word document practice with the associated YouTube video to give you a structure as to how to start. You know what I mean? And then you figure out your own ways as you arise your intuition in it, because it's really an intuitive journey. It's not really my voice. It's really to awaken the gut feeling in you. All right. So I just want to say that it has been a pleasure having you all. I am not sure when I'm going to be doing a next semester. So I'm glad that you guys, Deborah, Nameen, James, Jamar, y'all were the ones that came in this semester, and, and it's just, what I was going to say, it's been a pleasure. And because I probably won't be pushing this class right now live at the moment. Okay, so y'all caught it live. All right, someone could come, but they probably will just get the recordings, but I'm not doing it live for a while because I'm going to just be focused on me and my own journey. I got a lot of things that I'm trying to do, even financially. Being a trader, I'm trying to get money from these hedge funds and, get funding and stuff like that, because I did have to make quite a big withdrawal with, had to spend a lot of finances recently. So I'm kind of in a hole on that. So I'm working on that. So anyway, enough talking. I might need y'all testimonials in the future when I have a website and stuff as I cultivate as time go by. So anyway, y'all have a good day, family.